Hello, everybody, and welcome to Anime Sickos, the podcast for geniuses, where we look at the four pillars of modern misery: anime, gaming, posting, and jobs, all of which have gone supercharged death march mode since the Rona came and the event happened that destroyed our lives. I'm Tom, a sicko.
I'm Joe, a sicko, and we are joined today. We're having a Guesto mode episode. I remember when we had our first guest, Tom and I talked, and I was like, we should call it Guesto mode. And he was like, no, we need to come up with a fun title for every guest. And then he gave up, and now they're all blank goes Guesto mode. And today we were joined by mutual homie Kevin, who's joining us.
Hi, I'm their homie.
Kevin, what's your deal? Introduce yourself.
What do? I do like web design and development. I guess me not knowing that is like goes straight into Cog Talk because they didn't know what I did either.
We both worked with you.
Yes.
For like multiple years.
Yes.
And the fact that neither of us know what you do, I think says a lot about what kind of jobs we work.
Yes.
Yeah, also Kevin is basically responsible for Tom and I meeting.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
What is the story? I think
it's brief. It's brief.
Yeah,
Just
it's
fucking
very
say
brief.
it.
Because like Tom was like, he's a nerd, and I was like, I was working with Joe at the time, and I was like, oh wait, he's a nerd, and he likes writing and such, and I was like, I'm just gonna make them meet each other. So I was gonna kind of get into that when you were going to ask me your next question of, am I a sicko? And
Yeah,
like,
no, you think you're so fucking smart getting ahead of me? You got the question wrong, you dummy. The question is, and now I'm asking it for real, are you an anime sicko?
Yes, Tom. I am the proto-anime sicko. I have the sicko cell anemia. That's just how I pronounce anime after Erica's episode.
Shit, yes.
Anime.
Yeah.
An anime.
Oh yeah, anime, yes. The normal way to say it. When you say that, you should immediately get a red dot sniper on your forehead.
So Kevin, no, you say you're an anime sicko. How come? Prove it. The proto-anime sicko, big words, big talk.
I tried to introduce Tom to anime with Fooly Cooly.
Ooh.
And I was like,
this is a move that's usually done on uninterested girlfriends. So this is very good.
This was before he did like anything with Japan, as far as I know. And I was
I played Mario.
That's Italian. Don't you come in here with that.
But he just sat in his room with his hands folded.
He was just listening to like sad boy like punk music or whatever.
That never ended.
But I had we had gone to this like independent little shop, and I got the DVD and I put it in, and it was like, it's too scratched to play.
Oh yeah, you could. It was a comic book and video rental, and their shtick was that like it was past when like video rental stores were like kaput and obsolete, but like they had an eclectic selection that kept them open. They're probably not open now, especially not because of you can't go outside anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Fooly Cooly disc was unreadable.
Yeah, but then eventually we watched all of Cowboy Bebop together. Including the movie Fei Fei Go Wei Wei.
Yeah.
And then he just went down a rabbit hole, and I have not seen him since.
Oh, so it's like your fault.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know this.
It is partially my fault, yes.
It's partially just my fault for being born this way, having the latent gene.
Right.
But it was like I was like going around, being a politician, and then like someone said Croatoa to me, and my brain like bloomed, and I became a Russian agent.
Like you were just wandering around just looking for anime, but you didn't know what it was.
Exactly. Yes. Like I was watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I'm like, damn, cartoons, fighting, plot lines, emotions. Too bad this is the only one of that.
Yeah. Avatar is so damn good, though. Oh, I need to watch all of that again.
For real. But Kevin, you and I have known each other for frankly an obscene number of years, because I'm still of the belief that if something happened 10 years ago, it was while I was 12, but no.
Yes.
We've known each other since the early years of college, and yeah, Kevin's just a solid homie. We are glad to have him go Guesto mode.
I met Kevin because I started a job, and I sat down at my desk, and I turned around, and Kevin was like, did we go to college together? And I was like, I think so. And he was correct because I had seen him like on campus. We didn't talk, but it was just like, you know how colleges where you see faces all the time that you never interact with because everyone has their schedule and you are constantly walking past people. Kevin was one of those, and he got upgraded to main character.
Yeah, I'm not an NPC anymore, baby.
Yeah. For college was great because like I met 15 people, the first 15 people I met, and I'm like, you guys are gonna be my friends. And then I never met anyone else.
Yeah,
and I'm still friends with all of them.
Yeah, that's the best way to do it. And then we would, oh God. So we were already kind of sicko mode at that point because do you remember when we were like storming the dorm as like Rainbow Six characters doing all the hand motions?
Oh, hell yeah. We were such fucking awful, insufferable nerds. I can't believe we weren't murdered by bullies and then they were given extra scholarships for their service.
Yeah, and Tom like met other friends by basically LARPing, like, right?
No.
Oh, this is all new to me.
I want to hear your side of the story.
I think, weren't you like you and like, was it you and Damien that were like doing Hadoukens at each other or something stupid, and then Eddie met you?
No, okay, you have the principles correct, but in the wrong roles.
Okay.
It was in some fucking college freshman like mixer thing. It's like come out to the quad and have free
the Drangle, sir,
burgers and meet your fellow freshmen. And yeah, we called it the Drangle. So at this time, I was like, well, this is going to be a nightmare because I'm definitely not going to talk to someone I don't know. That's just not going to fucking happen. And it's very likely that I won't run into anybody I do know. And so I'm just going to be standing there silent and then leave early and feel bad. So I was really hoping that wouldn't happen. And so I was walking around and I saw these two guys, Damien and Eddie, who I had met like a day or two previous, and I didn't really know much about them or have an opinion about them one way or the other than that I had met them and said hi and told them my name and learned theirs. And they were fucking Hadoukening each other. They were miming Hadoukens, and the other one was like selling the hit of the Hadouken.
Yeah, got that kayfabe going.
I vividly remember thinking to myself, I hope these people don't become my best friends, and they did.
But I don't think it's wrong to assume you would have been Hadoukening as well.
Yeah, I mean, we did do Rainbow Six fucking mimes throughout the halls, like true fucking nerds. So
I just drank. I just fucking drank.
We weren't cool enough, dude.
I wasn't either.
Tom explicitly did not drink until it was time because following rules is cool.
Yeah, following rules is cool, dude. Cog Talk. Cog Talk.
So we're going to do basically a supercharged version of Cog Talk because Kevin's relationship to us, as we had mentioned, is we have both worked with him. I worked with Kevin in like a pretty typical corporate environment that was all the normal ways office jobs are bad. However, Tom and Kevin worked together at a company that it was fake and didn't do anything. It was bullshit. And I only know like 1/100th of the nonsense. So I want to hear about this bullshit because all I know is that you guys had a boss who is a cartoon character. Is that correct?
Yes.
And the company made money? ?
It's really hard to say. I can't imagine how it could.
But they're not, and it's gone now because they did such a good job. They went to business heaven.
Yeah, they finished the job. That's what all companies are trying to do. Amazon's bad because they're not done yet. FYI, we're going to be using different names for like everything involved, just for reasons that should be fucking clear to you. And also, if you're listening to this, it means like that you probably like us. So I'm going to ask you as a favor, just as from like homie to you listener, like don't try to look any of this up because you probably could, but don't try. Like please let it be as we're leaving it. But that aside, Joe, what you're describing is what we referred to as Evanston job. Kevin, how did this begin?
Okay, this began because I was unemployed. I'm pretty sure. That's how everything.
That's
Terrible
how it all
begins.
starts. It sucks.
Well, actually, no. I wasn't unemployed. I was like underemployed, as many millennials are. So I was working at like Jimmy John's at the time. So I was just like biking sandwiches to people that did not appreciate me biking sandwiches to them.
This was before people delivering food were the troops.
Yeah, they're the troops now. And so one day I just got a call from some recruiter, and he was like, you got to come out and do this job that's like way in the middle of fucking nowhere. And I'm like, I don't really want to. Can you give me more money for the job? And he was like, yeah, okay. And I was like, that was way too easy.
It's like they really need someone, and it's very hard to convince someone to work for this. I wonder why. It's probably really normal.
It's probably a very normal job. So anyway, I go out there on this rainy day. There's like no tech part of the interview, like really at all.
Hey, what is the job position that you're interviewing for? Because here's the thing. We worked together at this job for a year. I have no fucking clue what your job was.
For the job title, I think it was whatever I wanted it to be.
That's always a good startup situation where it's like, we're really flexible on really anything. Just pay, title, whatever, you name it.
Yeah, like when I got there, I was like an understudy. I guess
understudy? Like in what way?
Because there was that other guy that did my job, but like if there was too much of that job, then I did job. I guess.
Oh my god, yes, there was a strange other guy we never saw because he worked remote and we weren't allowed to, but he was allowed to.
Yes.
I think because he hated the boss too much.
And he just got into like the king shit situation where he was just like, I'm not even coming in to see your face. Oh, that's the dream.
So Kevin, you got the job, then what?
Oh, so like the recruiter, it was like, I'm pretty sure it was his first time getting anyone a job, and like and so I had gone in there, and this dude was like super hungover when I met him. Right?
The recruiter or
the
our
recruiter?
boss?
The recruiter.
Okay.
The recruiter. And like I'm pretty sure they said they got him drunk to celebrate me getting that job as well, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a consistent problem. I'm just never going to see this guy again, and that's fine.
All right. So what next?
So when I went to Evanston job, everything was fine. It was actually pretty great. He would like buy us lunch on Fridays. We had like a little Pomeranian. It was like probably the most I'd been getting paid at that point. And then eventually he was like, hey, if you know any like writers or anything. And I was like, cool, I can hook somebody up with a job and get them paid as well. And I was like, I got to reach out to Tom. And so I brought him aboard.
Yeah, and I too went out to Evanston for an interview. Evanston, if you aren't aware, is a suburb of Chicago that sucks ass. All of them do.
It's where Northwestern is. It's Evanston is the town that has to pay fealty to Northwestern.
For real. So the upshot is that if you take public transit to Evanston from the city where we live, it takes an extremely long time. It sucks ass. And so that happened. So I went and I got the job. The interview was so fucking chill. I met the boss, the CEO of the company. The company, I don't know if we've made clear, is like 6 employees. Our office is like a tiny little like itsy bitsy office space in this big building, like maybe two or 3 rooms, just minuscule. And we're all so cozy, and it's like, and the boss there in the interview is like, we're gonna really treat each other like a family here.
Man.
Like the reason, reason I'm hiring you people is because like I believe in you and I want to provide for you. And that did end up being true in that we got paid way more than you would expect for the fucking jobs we had. I just recently have been paid more than that job for the first time ever. For a long time, for like basically my whole 20s, I was getting paid less than my Evanston fake job. Anyway, but I got the job. The reason that they were hiring a copywriter is because, so this company is ostensibly a company that makes websites for clients. Now, I say ostensibly because that never happened. We never made a website. But the gist was there was a new client that was a rehab facility for like drug addiction. And part of their contract was they needed to get weekly, actually I think 5 times weekly blog posts. And there's no one with the sort of leeway to do that. They needed to hire a copywriter. And hey, I fucking somehow got the job, even though I had no experience actually writing anything other than I had a dumb degree.
Noted addiction specialist, Tom.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, what it was like, here's a big list of keywords. Write a blog posts that have these keywords in them a lot. And I did. And yeah, as Kevin said, it started out fine. Our boss, let's call him Terry Turkington, seemed normal, was chill.
He went to bed.
He slept and then woke up in the morning.
A lot of past tense.
And then just shit started to not be right.
All right, so you've established that everything was super normal, and I can only assume things continue to be normal. So Act 1, where everything good is ending, when did you know Act 2 began?
It's really hard to say.
Yeah, there's so many things. What comes to mind? Like Obama being his JFK.
Oh, yeah. At one point, he was like talking to Kevin. This was before Get Out was a thing. Yeah. And he's just like, I just want you to know, like, Obama's my Kennedy.
Yeah.
Like, I love Obama.
And when he was like, telling you this, Kevin, it was like directed at you.
I don't think I gave him eye contact.
He was saying it to both of us.
Yeah.
I was looking at his face, and he was ostensibly saying it to both of us, but he was shooting glances at Kevin a lot.
For the listeners at home, I'm black.
Yes. I guess context that is pretty important. Another thing that I noticed that was sort of a red flag was I often like wouldn't have enough work to do and have to like hassle him to give me like a task. And a lot of the times I would do a task and I'd be like, hey, this blog post is complete. And he'd be like, great. And then do nothing with it. And it would just sit in the works Google Drive folder. And it would never get posted on the website that it was supposed to go up on. And if I would ever push back, he'd be like, oh, I just need to get approval from the client. Yeah. And I'm like, that's pretty bad. But then I would also look over and be like, Kevin, are you experiencing this as well? And what you're experiencing was far worse.
There was one time we had a meeting in a Panera. And at the... I guess it was just like a lunch / I'm going to also tell you what everyone's supposed to do at the end. And he was like, this person do this. This person do this. Tom do this. Kevin, this person do this. And he just like completely skipped over me. And I was like, aw, man.
It was cartoon shit. It was Joe, Kevin's not fucking exaggerating. He said, Kevin, looked at him for a second, and you could tell his like 2 brain cells were burning as hot as they could. And he was just like, well, I got nothing, and moved on to the next person and hoped no one would notice that he didn't tell Kevin what to do that week.
Oh, my gosh. And so what did you do? Just spider solitaire?
I just hope that I still got my paycheck and listened to too much Spotify.
Oh, yeah. At one point, for whatever reason, the internet was funky. And this is something that happens to everyone in the world because entropy exists. But Terry Turkington was convinced that Spotify was to blame because Spotify can take up to 100 gigabytes of bandwidth when it's streaming music.
Wait, and what, he believed that like the down pipe for Spotify was 100 gigabyte fire hose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said it. I mean, he said a lot of shit that didn't make any sense. Like at one point, we were in an elevator together, and I just want to make it so clear that I don't know anything about like technical shit about the internet and web development. I was definitely the copywriter, and we were in this elevator together, and he told me that there was going to be something called Sparkle that would replace HTML in a couple of years. And I'm just like, what are you saying?
It's been a few years.
Yeah, that ain't happened. Ain't gonna happen. No. Also in Evanston elevators, we met into this like crazy land baron, and he said he was gonna suck the life juice out of all the kids because we were so youthful.
Wait, he said those words to you?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna harvest your adrenochrome?
Yeah.
He said something to the effect of like, "Oh, you guys look so young. I wish I could have some of your blood."
Thanks for reassuring me that what he said was normal. The way you phrased that.
He wants our life energy. Yeah.
So this is pretty bad, Kevin. I think we should talk about the actual clients that this company had and the work that was being done for them, because I think that really will show the specificity of that will show how fucking nonsense this shit was. And folks, no matter how far this Cog Talk goes, just understand that we're leaving out like 75%. Just we could have a 5-hour podcast about Evanston job.
So clients come to you wanting stuff. What is the stuff they want?
So one of them, I'm not going to name it, but it was a news publication for African American individuals that was written entirely by one guy who had no qualifications. And he came to us, and I'm not fucking joking when I tell you this. He ran an online-only publication, and he hired us to take what he wrote and post it, because he didn't know how.
So he had a website and he had no idea how those words get up there?
Yeah.
He just sent us text.
But how did he get to that point? Like, how did those words get up there before he came to you?
I don't think they did.
Yeah. And another thing that was wild was that the guy who wrote it would come to the office like every month for a big meeting, and we all had to be there even though we didn't do anything on his site at all. That was someone else who made the posts. And the crazy thing is that Terry Turkington, the boss, would tell this guy every single time that we really need to get the site migrated over to WordPress, and once everything's on WordPress it's going to be so easy and you can do it yourself. That didn't happen.
No. Nothing happened.
So this was just like a shared lie he would tell everyone? Like, we're going to get this over to WordPress and then we're in Flavor Town?
I don't think the lie even like went to us. He was just telling the client, yeah, we're going to do this. And then just like nothing happened. That was it.
Yep. Another one was a company that does landscaping, like for your lawn and such, but their sort of gimmick is that they're environmentally conscious and like carbon neutral.
So they won't dump crude oil in your backyard.
Yeah.
Exactly. And we were making a website for them, which the entire time we were there, I don't think anyone ever did any of the work. And it ruled because they had like 5 drop-down menus on the navigation bar, each of which had like 10 to 15 things that were all extremely wordy and only slightly different because they were keywords that had been researched to be relevant to the company. And so they just made a page for each one of them. And like most of them were blank. At some point I was like, do we need copy for this? And he's like, don't worry about it.
I know I must have done something for this site and I can't remember. So Big Cog energy is the ability to just forget shit.
Yes.
Yeah,
To do work for hours and hours, and then if someone asks, what did you do? You legitimately, without affect, can be like, I don't know.
Yeah. My brain from 9 to 5 is bailing water on a sinking ship.
One fucking thing that absolutely whips ass is that when Kevin and I were like at the end of our ropes and we were like, the writing's on the wall, it's clear we're going to quit soon. They hired some guy who had a background in both copywriting and web development, whose skin tone was halfway between me and Kevin's. And
he's like, we found someone that just did the fusion dance.
Yeah, man.
Yes. And this motherfucker came to the office and he was just hired. And on literally his first day, the only thing we all did, because we all collaborated on this because Terry, our boss, demanded we do it. We all do it as a team. Was that this landscaping company, had finally caught on to the fact that they were paying for nothing. And we're like, hey, your service is absolutely unacceptable. This is unprofessional, and we have been duped. Like we're extremely furious. And his response was to write a breakup letter to them. And so he had us all sit down as a group and we workshopped together this letter that basically said, like, you're an abusive relationship. Working with you is so unpleasant that we can't even honor this contract anymore because you're just so rude.
Yeah, we fired them.
So everyone in the office had to like crowd around a computer as one guy wrote a breakup note?
Yeah. And this is his first day. First impression.
So what happened with the breakup note? Like, did a lawyer see that and was like, the company's right?
Who knows? Dude, I have no fucking clue. For like a year after we quit, I would like go and look at all the clients' websites and see what was different.
Yes.
And for the longest time, nothing would change. And then, like, one by one, all of the websites got extremely better. And at the footer, it would have a different company credited as the person who did the website. And just another example of the kind of client. There was one client that did elder care. And it's like, okay, that's a really important thing that, like, the world needs people who are doing elder care. That's so valuable. And it's a specialized skill. Except that what this company did was not provide elder care. You would come to them, tell them the situation with the elder in question, and then they would recommend an elder care plan that you would go and fulfill somewhere else.
And they would get like a commission?
I don't know if there was money exchanged.
It's extremely unclear. It made writing copy for them a nightmare, because anything that like sort of makes sense, it's like, hey, we care for the people who matter to you. It's like, well, actually they don't.
Yeah, we care for the care for people.
This is something that I've experienced doing copy. When you are getting caught up trying to write concrete things, but reality is keeping you from actually saying them, that's when you know your job is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Our company was a big grift.
Like, for example, I mentioned that the reason I got the job was this rehab facility wanted 5 blog posts a week. And so a majority of my working day was writing these blog posts. And I would put them in a big Google Doc folder. And I would tell Terry every single time I finished with a blog post that it was done. And I had a big list of all the topics, and I would share with him which ones were completed. And I kept noticing that they weren't getting posted. And I'm like, what's the deal? And he's like, the guy at the rehab center needs to approve them. He's just really busy, and he hasn't gotten to them yet. But like, it's so close. It's so close. It's going to happen. It's so close. I got hired in like March. Somewhere around like July or August, the guy who was our contact for the rehab facility was like, hey, Terry, I just noticed there's no fucking blog posts on my website. What am I fucking paying you for? And he was like, we have to post them all right now.
And you got to back post. You got to change all the dates on them.
Yes, we had to manually change the dates so that they looked like they were published in the past. And here's the fucking thing that absolutely whips. If you backdate a post, Google does not show it. So the whole point of these blog posts was that it would have keywords that would make this rehab center show up if you looked up like alcohol addiction or help for addicted child or something. And then it didn't. It's impossible. It didn't happen.
So like your boss had to choose between fulfilling a need of a business versus getting yelled at. And he said, well, I don't want to get yelled at.
It's hard to say, though, because, like, he could have just done it from the beginning.
So, like, when he said, like, what was the lie there when he was saying we need to get it approved? Was that just him being like, I don't know how to post it and I'm afraid to ask?
Yeah, I guess so.
Actually, Kevin, you know what I think the real answer is? And I think I will retroactively answer why Act 2 started, is that I don't remember what it was. Mm-hmm. But something happened. I think one of the clients was a hospital, like a major hospital in the city.
Oh.
I think it got like some sort of back end service from us, like not sort of like front facing website. And it was something that only Terry did. That was like only his work. And I think one day something happened that required him to pull an all-nighter. And then his brain never happened again.
I remember him, like, I guess it was like over the summer where that the addiction place, he would just like, I gotta go drive out there and just like go fucking fix their shit. And then we hear from them a little bit later. They're like, we didn't want you to do that. And he's like, they're not paying me, man. They're not paying me for all the work I did. And we're like, what are you talking about?
You went out there on your own fucking recognizance, sleep deprived, and like they were like, go away. And he at this point, once he started not sleeping, he just like sort of became a different person. One of the things that would happen is he would just start saying shit that didn't make any sense. Like one day he came in and was just like sounded terrified, and he's like, we just want to do the white hat stuff, but I think the rehab facility, they're getting tempted by some black hat hackers who just want to do keyword spraying. That keyword spraying doesn't work. White hat is so much better, and we're just like, what?
The actual devil is tempting this company, and we have to be pure and strong to guide them into heaven.
So I think after that time is when he became like into what he thought was fitness. And so like he just had like a bowl of like grains, maybe milk.
No, it was berries and protein powder.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought it was just like milk, raspberries, and then just slop.
So he became a gruel guy. Yeah. He was really into gruel.
He was real into gruel.
Yes. And then this is when he became a fish man. Not the cool kind of fish man for One Piece that's strong, but like, you know how fish have sort of these like glazed over eyes that blink very slowly with this like filmy lid, and their mouths just sort of hang open and shut slowly over and over? That's what he did.
Oh, he made lip noises?
Yeah, this MF was on like a tape delay. Like we would be like, Terry, and he's looking at his laptop. And like 2 or 3 seconds would go by, and he would slowly raise his head to meet our eyes, and then he would make a lip noise as his lips fell open. And then, like, after a couple seconds, he would respond.
So he wasn't always a fish man. He became a fish man. Like he like woke up one day and the metamorphosis got worse.
He didn't wake up. He didn't go to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay, so sleep keeps him from turning into a fish, and the first day he skipped it, it was game over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Downward spiral from there.
I think the key was that his reasoning capabilities dropped drastically due to sleep deprivation, and that led him to believe that any sort of problem was a big fire that had to be fixed immediately at all costs. Oh my God,
yeah,
This is the Cog/boss thing where everything is urgent, everything is equally do or die. Your life is a constant state of low-key panic filled with tasks.
Here's the crazy thing, though. That didn't trickle down to us. Like, Kevin still had no work. I still was writing shit that didn't get posted. But every day, Terry wouldn't go to sleep because he had to do something all night.
So what he was doing all night was also not work, though. Like, whatever he was doing all those hours wasn't producing anything, right?
It was work flavored. So, like, he would go on about his, like, super big phone bill because he would just be in his car all night, just on the phone talking to some business person.
He's doing deals.
It's like it was work in the sense that, like, imagine that you had to fix a ladder, like, or rather, imagine like you really needed to have a ladder like right now, and what you decided to do was, instead of like go to the hardware store later and buy a ladder, it was like, well, one thing that I do have is a lot of popsicle sticks and my own spit, so I'm gonna spend all night doing this. And then he would spend all night doing that, and he'd be like, look, a ladder. And then they'd be like, great, I'm going to climb it. And they would step on it, and it would break. And they'd be like, the ladder's broken. And then he would become even more panicked. So, like, it was work, but it was also, like, definitely the wrong thing to do. And this is also when he sort of went off the rail. Like, he before was sort of like a buzzwords guy. But now he just started to speak exclusively in shit that made no sense.
So yeah, in addition to like saying stuff that just made no sense, he also did a lot of stuff that didn't make any sense. So like he was super into us. This one day he was just like went out at lunch and was like, I'm super into this magazine now, guys. And so it was like a $20 magazine, like all the glossy photos and everything. And he got like each and every one of us a copy of it.
What was this magazine?
It was like Chicago Social. It
Yeah.
was like it was for rich people on like how to see and be seen. And oh shit, okay, I remember the reason he got it for us. It was because we might have had a client that was somewhat charity based, and he saw that it had the charity issue written on the front. And what that meant was that there were a lot of pictures of rich people dressed up at charity galas.
Mm-hmm. And there was like one small interview that was on maybe one page. And so rather than like one person reading it and maybe summarizing it, or one person reading it and passing it around.
You guys did a book club?
Yeah,
you
we did
you did a magazine book club?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every day he would like have a new thing that he was obsessed with. And one thing that he was super obsessed with was like any news from Google. I think I mentioned it before on the podcast, but he came in one day and said that like, I forget what it was, but Matt Cutts from Google, said that some change in the architecture of Google was going to occur within 90 to 1,500 days.
A good range.
He told us this as though it was totally normal.
Somewhere between 3 months and 5 years. Yeah.
Also, Chicago Social Magazine, I worked at a company in the Northern Burbs where we were in, I guess, discussion with someone who worked there, and that magazine is dreadful. Like, there are articles that are just like how to frame your au pair as thieving so you can fire her.
Exactly, yes.
The number for ICE, basically.
Yeah. It's a real grim issue, and the fact that you guys dropped, $200 on it?
I don't even know.
He would often take us out to lunch, and he would buy whatever we wanted, and he would take out this big, sort of huge notepad, and he would get out a bunch of markers, and he'd be like, I want to hear from you. I want to know what you guys have to say. And we would give him suggestions, and he would write them down wrong and, like, trail off in the middle of sentences. At this point, he was so sleep-deprived he couldn't write. Like, for real, there'd be times when, like, he would call me over to, like, help strategize for an email that he was sending to a client. And I would watch him over his shoulder as he's typing, and he would just like stop in the middle of a sentence or just like spell words wrong or leave words out. And he would like go to click send, and I'm like, hey, buddy. Like Terry Turkington, his name, he like made a new Gmail account for himself for whatever reason. I guess it was like more SEO friendly, and he spelled his name wrong. So when you got a message from Terry Turkington, it was Terry Turk-N-G-ton. No I.
What sucks about this is, because you guys were both early on in your careers, did you have the misguided thought that was like, this is obviously super fucked, but I will get to a real job where this doesn't happen?
Oh, no.
You knew that was how it was going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I feel like if you get more than like 5 or so people together to form a company, it's just going to be held together by shoestrings. There's no way around it.
Well, I don't know if I agree with this because I have not encountered a situation like that. Like, no one
not to
has
that
been,
extent, no.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's like how Kevin, you mentioned that before. I was 21. I didn't really drink. Part of that was that I didn't really like the taste of beer. And then one time, our buddy Damien, who was Hadoukening when I met him, was brewing his own beer, and he had pellets of concentrated hops, which is the sort of bitter ingredient in beer. He's like, let's eat one on a dare. And I'm like, okay, I'll eat a hop pellet. And it was the most bitter thing I'd ever had in my entire life. I couldn't even imagine the fucking sensations I was feeling.
Yeah, I had that too.
And after that, all the beer that I thought was too bitter to be enjoyable was like, oh, I get it now. Like, this is fine. This actually tastes
No, Tom,
good.
that is wrong. I had that same hot pellet. So like I was making macaroni and cheese for myself, and then he was like, hey, have one of these hot pellets. And I was like, all right. And then it ruined my food. It was so bad. And bitterness still sucks, and I don't drink beer. It sucks ass.
Another thing about this fucking Evanston job that is crazy is that this guy would attract just the strangest cast of characters.
Okay. So we had this one person named Trina who I guess had previously worked at a restaurant or for some chef.
She was supposedly the like head pastry chef for like a starred restaurant. And she was like 19. It's difficult to say if it was true. Probably not. She said it was in Florida and she just got tired of the game.
She's 19, tired of the game.
She lived a rough life, man.
I got tired of the game at 19, and that game was Diablo 2.
I mean, we thought that it was fake, but then one day I was like, I'm thinking of making creme brulee this week. And then she just like rattles off like exactly how to make creme brulee.
Oh, I didn't know she had actual skills. I never heard that. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, she told me exactly how to make creme brulee, and I did it, and it worked. And I'm like, this is the best creme brulee I've ever made. Another thing that she did was apparently in Florida, she and her girlfriends...
Her angels or something?
Yeah, she had a business that was like the Angels, where she and her friends would go to clubs dressed in angel costumes, and she would give rich people massages.
What I remember is that they were in like the lobby of a hotel or something massaging business persons. Which makes it like easier for like what the rest of that job must have been.
And she decided she wanted to sit at a desk instead.
I guess so. Also,
what was her job?
I don't know what her job was, but there was a time like maybe she had a virus or something on her computer, right? And so I had to transfer all of her files from one computer to another. And on her desktop, this is like the laptop
work computer.
Yeah, the one she's using for work. There's just a folder named nudes, and it's I presume it's pictures of her. I didn't go in there because I was like, that there's so many ethical things about that. I'm not going to do it.
I like if I even named a folder that as a joke on a work computer, I would burst into embarrassment fire.
Yep. Another thing that she did was apparently she was friends with the boss's daughter, who also worked for this company. She was a little younger. She was like 17, so like probably not allowed to work. But yeah, that's how it was. And like they sort of became friends, and they hung out one time after work. And the next day, the daughter was like a little bit colder on Trina overall as a person. And she was like, yeah, Trina wore these jeans that didn't have the ass.
Did she buy them like that, Tom? Did she buy them like that?
I don't know. Did we ever find out?
I feel like she had to have cut the ass out the jeans, man.
And we're like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, they just like the ass wasn't there, and her ass was out. Then at one point, Trina was fired for not doing work. Long after she should have been, because this motherfucker is a fish man who has never slept, and so it like if he was on fire, like if he was in a fire and dying, his like charcoal corpse as they were laying it to rest would be like, it's hot.
Please flip me over.
When she was fired, we were sort of like looking at what she had done, and she had added like metadata to all the stuff about the elder care company. And she had like put in keywords that were like insulting. Like there was a blog post about how like it's important to have regular bathing for elders who are bound to their beds. And she put like the keywords like smelly elders, stinky elders, smelly olds. And like we had to like apologize like, oh shit, we didn't mean to put that there. Another guy who was a fucking king, this guy actually rules, was the daughter's boyfriend. He worked at the company for like 6 months.
That dude was doing next level nothing. So it's a theme you'll have noticed by now that no one at this company really did anything. And even if they did, it never saw the light of day. But this guy, he was a true champion. So like, I don't know what kind of pipe he was laying, but... But like, I can't recall him ever doing work or anything.
He had one task that he was supposed to do. I can't remember what it was because it was fake. But it was definitely like he was supposed to be doing something every day.
Yeah, whatever that was, it didn't happen. And and like mysteriously when they broke up, he also got fired. I don't know if the two things were related, but you know. And then
it was the fucking best.
And then like I guess people looked over his work and it was just like, it's just blank pages, man. Nothing ever happened here.
Yeah. Like there's like when we say we're doing nothing at work, like what that really means is that like you do sort of the bare minimum and then you sort of do nothing. You sort of like futz around for the rest of the day. Mm-hmm. When we're saying that this guy did nothing, we mean like he never started. he just hung out with his girlfriend all day and pulled a check.
Yeah.
At one point we moved offices and the new building had like a building manager who had the most insane voice and face that we've ever seen in our whole fucking lives. He had this intense Willem Dafoe face and he'd be like, "Hey guys, what's up? It's me. How you doing? You doing a new space?"
Wait, he was like an old-timey radio?
Yeah. And there was this one time where he came to say that the building had hired an intern like to work for the building. And he was going around to all the tenants being like, "Hey, if you need any odd jobs done, just have our intern do it." And he said a phrase that what he meant to say was,
"This kid's a workhorse."
Yeah, I want to say this kid is able to do a lot of work really well. What he said was, "He's a horse."
He's a horse.
Yeah, this kid's great. You got to put him to work. He's a horse. It's like,
they meant like workhorse, right?
Yeah, but he said he's a horse. So we drew a lot of pictures of this guy bringing a horse to our office. It was good.
Oh, man.
Another great thing is that Terry, in his sort of sleep-deprived reverie, would get tricked by the dumbest shit in the world. Like, if a cult leader came to him, he would definitely join, like, that day. And he would come to us every couple of weeks talking about some business guy that he had met that was like, that had changed his life. I've been on the phone with him for 3 hours every night for the last 3 weeks, and he is just opening my eyes. And then he would say, like, we really need to work with this guy. And he would explain what they wanted to do. And it was always the fucking dumbest thing in the universe.
So, yeah, there was a time that our boss, Terry, tried to steal Valor.
Terry, okay, I just want to interject here. Terry kicks ass. He's a hero because what does he do? He pays my friends not to work. Uh-huh. Very cool. I like that. He doesn't sleep, which he doesn't do because he's working, but if he spent that time fake working and transitioned to gaming, he'd be perfect. And the other thing he does is never learn anything, which is really relatable.
And he posts. No, but that's all he does.
This motherfucker, he wanted to steal Valor because there was this guy who wanted to make a business where he would make a commemorative coin for the troops. And you could buy it in a shadow box that was made by people with Down syndrome. So you're also helping them by giving them a job. And Lee Greenwood, a far-right maniac who wrote a song about how everyone who's not in America needs to die, had given it his thumbs up, and that was going to make it a successful business.
Was this also recommended by wrestling superstar The Big Show?
Oh, was it? I don't remember.
Okay, I think so, but I can't even remember.
Something was Big Show adjacent. This was the dumbest shit in the entire universe, and we were like, "Oh, do you want us to build a website for this?" And he's like, "No." And we're like, "Then what do you want us to do?" And he's like, "It doesn't matter." And he would just like tell us the platitudes, like the business platitudes that he heard on the phone, as though us hearing that made there be work done.
This sounds like a kid's vision of what a businessman does. Yeah.
Yes. There was one time he was often just not around. Like he would just not show up and not tell us where he was or when he would be there. And all the shit that had to actually happen had to go through him. Like I couldn't post myself. I didn't have the credentials. That's why I couldn't ever post any of the shit I wrote. And so, because it had to go through him, and he was never there, and when he was there, his brain didn't work, nothing happened, even more so than usual. There was one day where we really, really needed to get a hold of him, so we had, everyone sent him a big Skype being like, "Hey, buddy, like, where are you? Like, we need you here. Where are you?" And he responds, like, an hour later, I'm watching a surgical procedure. Which to me could mean any number of things. It could mean that like he's watching Matt Cutts say business strategy that's so precise that it's like surgery. But then we're like, what do you mean by that? Are you being serious? And he responds with, it's literally a shot in the neck, which could mean it literally, seeing Matt Cutts say this literally energizes me like a shot in the neck. And so we're just like, there's no fucking way of understanding what this is. And then we got an email later that day that said, the Phoenix in Russia is different than Phoenix in us.
Wait. Okay, I vaguely remember that. Okay.
Wait. Was that a clue? Like, what? Is that a riddle?
Yeah, he's making an AR game.
Wait, what it was? The Phoenix in Russia is different than the Phoenix in the U.S.?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, that's what he meant to say, but he didn't capitalize U.S. or put dots in between. So it read as, Phoenix in Russia is different than Phoenix in us.
Yeah. But there isn't a Phoenix in Russia. It's in Arizona.
He's just a big Marvel fan.
No, Joe, what he was talking about is that one of the business guys that he fell in love with and talked with for 3 hours every night for 2 weeks after he broke up with the previous business guy because that previous guy finally caught on that this guy he was talking to was incompetent. The new business guy he fell in love with was a Russian doctor who had invented this procedure that cured PTSD. It doesn't, it's fake. Where he would inject a sort of solution into your neck and it would cure your PTSD. So when he was talking about a surgical procedure,
This is Dr. Nick shit.
When he was talking about a surgical procedure, that was fucking true.
Yeah.
He was watching a shot in the neck.
With his worm-ridden brain, hearing something that was like him saying it literally and meaning it literally was just like the end of the world to us, and we did not understand.
Like it couldn't compute that he would say something and it meant that. But like what the Phoenix shit, so here's what it was. What he meant to say was, hello, I have decided that we're going to take on this doctor as a client. He is a Russian doctor, and he has decided that a Phoenix is a good foundation for the branding for this company that provides these PTSD curing shots because it allows you to rise from the ashes. It's important to note, however, that our cultural assumptions of what a Phoenix is are different than the cultural assumptions of what a Phoenix is in Russia. They're different. He would prefer if the Phoenix that was displayed in the branding was the type of Phoenix that he is familiar with from Russia. What he wrote was, the Phoenix in Russia is different than Phoenix in us.
Oh my God. He had a 3-hour call with this guy and that's all he got out of it.
Fucking, he couldn't spell his own name right, dude. It's a miracle he wrote that sentence that made as much sense as it did.
Terry Turkmenistan?
Like, at one point, he set his status on LinkedIn to just be the name of one of the clients.
I'm just going to say I write for SNL now. Fuck it.
Oh, Kevin, I got to tell the LinkedIn man story.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were going to get to that one. Oh, my God.
Okay. I'm going to try to keep this brief. So a company moved in down the hall from us in the office building that their specialty was that they would do a business's LinkedIn page for them and optimize it for SEO. And Terry was like, I see a big crossover potential here. We should work with them and learn from them and see if we can help them out. And so he talked with that guy, and he's like, you're going to have this on your radar. This is going to happen. So I don't know when anything's going to happen. I walk into work every day not having no fucking clue what I'm supposed to do. Sometimes I do nothing. Some days I get insane projects that don't ever pan out. One day I just show up, and there's a guy there who's in full, like, biking gear and who is, like, insanely hot and, like, clearly rich. And he is like, are you Tom? And I'm like, what the yes? Huh?
It's like, I'm your new husband.
And he's like, I'm from the LinkedIn company. I'm supposed to meet with you and Terry. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I don't know where Terry is, and I don't really know about this, but I'm going to go get him, and then we'll figure it out. And I go to his office. He's a separate little room, and I knock on the door. Nothing. I just like, whatever, I'll open the door. He's not there. I'm like, well, Terry's not here. What was this supposed to be? And he's like, we were supposed to talk about going over one of your clients' LinkedIn pages because it hasn't been updated since 2008 and still says 2008 in the fucking copy, and make it better. And I'm like, okay, let me get a hold of Terry. And the biking guy is like, I hope he gets here soon because I biked here to this Evanston office all the way from the city this morning to have this meeting. And I'm like, got it. That sounds bad. I'll get in touch with Terry. And I'm like, hey, Terry, some guy's here to meet with you. Where are you? And he's like, I'm at the client for the meeting about their LinkedIn. And I'm like, when you say the client, you mean the client's office downtown? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, hey, guy, you said you biked from downtown to be here? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, Terry's downtown. He gets fucking furious. And I'm like, yeah, Betty, you're right.
You're like egging him on, like, yeah, you should be pissed.
And Terry's like, oops, my bad. Sorry. Let's just do a call. And so I'm like, okay, fine. And so we start a call, and the LinkedIn man is fucking fuming. He is just like barely keeping it together, seething with rage. He's not mad at me because I've been like, yeah, this is bad, buddy. I know the whole time. So he knows that I'm on his side. The call begins, and it is pure fucking static. It is unlistenable shit. And we're like, Terry, we can't hear you. And he leans forward into the mic, and we can barely hear him through the static as he's like, oh, can you hear me now? Sorry, I got closer to the mic. And we're like, yes, that's fine. You have to stay there, though. He's like, okay. And then he instantly leaned back, and it was static. And we were like, Terry, you gotta get, we cannot hear you. And that happened like 3 or 4 times. And then I put us on mute, and I'm like, it's going to keep happening. And I told the LinkedIn guy, like, I don't think you have to be here. I'm sorry. And he was like, is this kind of behavior normal for Terry? And I just look at him and I go like, yeah.
That's my guy.
And he storms out. And I just sort of look at Reddit and do other shit while half paying attention to static. And this whole time we're in the LinkedIn company's office. Like, we went to that guy's office to take this call. And so he left, and I'm just sort of chilling there. And this whole time, there's been another guy who is the full-time worker in the Evanston office who wasn't part of the call. And I just sort of like look up at him as I'm sort of like dithering and this static is playing. And he is just looking at the scenario, jaw dropped. And I'm just like, yep, that's Evanston job.
Oh, man. Evanston job so bad.
So you guys currently don't work there now. So that implies you freed yourself from Evanston job at some point. So how did you disengage? Did Terry cry is my question.
Almost certainly.
Oh, yes.
So it's a two-part story. I quit and then Kevin quit. I'll tell my bit and then Kevin tells his bit. Uh-huh. So what happened to me is that I was growing increasingly furious at this terrible job. All the work I did was meaningless, and I would get in trouble for posts not going up, and like I did the posts. And every time you would have these lunches where we would write down suggestions, and we would have one-on-ones to discuss like things going forward, because it was getting clear that like things weren't in a tenable position for the company. Like, things are shaky, things needed to improve. And he wanted to hear our feedback. And my feedback every single time was like, Terry, you need to get sleep. And I would bring him articles about like losing sleep massively craters your productivity. And I would point this out. I'd be like, I know you think you're doing necessary work by staying up all night.
He's doing the needful, Tom.
Yeah, like oh my God, that was another one of his fun phrases. I know you think you're doing the needful, but like you're actually setting us back because we need you to be in top form, and it's impossible for you to be like that if you're skipping sleep. And he'd be like, oh my God, you're so right. I'm so honored that you care about me like that. I'm like, yeah, no, like you really, and I was like, I let that slide, but I'm like, yeah, you really need to get sleep. You need to get rest. Cause like, as you are now, like I see you writing your emails, and there are times when like you get ready to send out an email where like none of the sentences are done. and it doesn't make any sense, and I have to rewrite it for you. And he's like, oh, damn, no, you're right. I do be like that. Damn, no, you're right. And then he would never change. And so I was getting frustrated. And at this point, I was single. And so I was going on online dates that were miserable. There's one time I was on an online date. It was not a good one, and nothing came of it. But I was out of the house. And he was talking, and this was a Sunday, mind you. He was talking with one of the clients that we did the Facebook page for. We would write a bunch of posts, run them by them. They would approve certain ones, and then we would post them at given times. And I was sort of the admin for that page. And one of the people who worked for the company did not have the Facebook admin privileges. And so what happened was during that date, I got a text that said, "What is your Facebook password?" And I'm busy now. Like, I'm out of the house. He's like, "You need to give admin privileges to this guy." And I'm like, "I'll do it when I get home." And then like half an hour went by, and he's like, "You need to give me your Facebook password now. Just change it as soon as I'm done." And I'm like, fucking fine. Like, I knew this is against every, sort of best practice for security, but I gave him my fucking password. And I'm like, God, this is so annoying. Like, I was in a bad mood, and the date was terrible because, like, I was in a bad mood. And then I got home, and I changed my Facebook password. That Monday, I got called into his office, and he was just, like, a dark and angry figure. And he was like, "Tom, I've worked with a lot of shitty people. Just bad people. What you did was the meanest thing I've ever seen in business." And I was just like, holy shit, what? I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Like, I was out of the house. I couldn't give him the Facebook privileges. I needed to be at my computer. And I would have done it as soon as I got home, but you asked for my Facebook password and I gave it to you. He's like, you should have given me an ETA. And I'm like, okay, fine. That makes sense. Like, gotcha. That's not the meanest thing in the world, though. And at the end, the last line that he tells me is, "It's all about love, Tom. Even in business." And I'm just like, okay, great. Can I go? Because I have stuff to do. And I just leave. And I'm furious, and I'm just like, this is so fucking stupid. I can't believe I'm putting up with this. And so I'm doing work, and later that day I'm on a call with one of that same client, helping them do their Facebook shit. And I'm doing a good job. I'm building rapport, and we're getting posts up. And Terry, who I guess feels remorse now, comes up behind me without alerting me that he's there, and gives me a back rub. I flinch hugely and whip around and look up at him with a look of absolute disgust. And he sort of backs off. I go back to the call. And then like 10 minutes later, I see that he walks up next to me and puts a chocolate bar on my desk.
He's trying to do a seduction speed run.
Yeah. And so the next day, Joe, it gets fucking worse.
How is there a next day? I'm amazed that you went in after that.
I was like so close to quitting, but I was like, I need income. I don't have any savings. Like, I need to have a job. I don't want to be unemployed. Getting a job is so hard. Just ride this wave, and maybe he'll go to sleep one day and things will be better. The next day, he called me in again to yell at me. And he was saying that, like, you're just such a dark presence in the office. Like, anytime you're there, the mood just comes down. No one's happy to see you.
He says this to the boy who loves to follow rules.
Yes, I know. And also, when I'm there, I'm making everyone laugh and have a great time with my jokes. I'm not being proud saying that. That's the fucking truth. Anyway, he's telling me that I'm such an evil presence. And he's just like, you seem to have such contempt for me. All I want to do is care about you, and you just don't give me anything in return. It's not like I'm trying to have sex with you.
Oh, well, now it is.
Yeah.
He did the classic trick where you say you're not doing the thing you are.
And at this point, I'm like, well, if my being here is that incompatible with the company, I think it's time that we need to change that. And he hilariously like breathes this big sigh of relief and is like, oh, great. I'm so glad you've decided to change your attitude. I'm like, oh, no. I mean, I'm gonna quit. And he's like, oh. And then later, like a week later, I get an email from him in a furious tone because apparently his daughter told him that because we didn't have a lot of work to do, we spent a lot of the days just sort of looking at shit on the internet because there was nothing else to do. And he's like, I've been made aware that you people have looked at personal internet sites on the clock. You have stolen money from me, and I demand a return of this much money. And I'm like, this is definitely illegal. I call my dad, who's a lawyer, and I'm like, hey, this is illegal, right? And he's like, yeah, oh yeah. If you're on the clock and you're not doing work, that's your manager's fault for not making you do work. They still have to pay you. And I'm like, that's what I fucking thought. And so I'm like, hey, I'm going to tell the Department of Labor about this. And he's like, oh, sorry, sir. Here's your last paycheck, sir. And I never heard from him again. Kevin, you saw all this happen from a sort of distance.
Did you get a massage?
I did not get a massage. I'm not playing that shit. No.
Well, the thing is that Kevin was already sort of like a forgotten ghost at this point because he hadn't had a task in 6 months.
Yeah, I'm the black ghost. So yeah, I like so this is around like Thanksgiving-ish time, and so it's like daylight savings had happened, and like so we're like this long commute getting to and from Evanston. Like it's super dark when we're getting home. And like I can see that just wearing on Tom, and like he would actively say it. He's just like, you know, coming back to this like this darkness in the sky, just like mirrors everything that's inside of him. And I'm seeing that happen over and over. And then like the whole like I'm not trying to have sex with you comment happens, and I'm just like, oh shit. And so it's like Tom is going in to what's going to be his final meeting, and I'm just like, Tom, before you go, just pack up everything. Pack up.
yes, I remember. Fucking good call, dude.
I'm like, Tom, I know you were going to want a jet, and like having to come back here and just spend an extra like 10, 20 minutes just putting shit slowly into your backpack ain't going to work out. So like he does the meeting and he's just gone. And so I'm just like, well, I guess I'll try and make this work a little bit longer. So what I'm trying to do is get to Thanksgiving, so I just have like holiday day and then like holiday 2 days or maybe a week or whatever, and then I'm just gonna leave.
Oh, really smart exit plan.
So that is the plan. So what ends up happening is that like Tom is gone, and it's just like just before the weekend, and so like I start a new week, and it's just like it feels weird. Like, you know, it's just
my darkness is gone.
Yeah, his darkness is gone.
Everyone's is buoyed.
We can't goof anymore. So I get into the office and I'm like, Terry, nobody's here. And so like I call him, and it's like very hard to hear him, and he's like, oh yeah, I had to stand under the speaker because like everything else was too loud. And I'm like, where are you? And he's like, oh yeah, I just took everyone to Starbucks. And I was just like, wow.
Oh my God.
And so like so the reason that I called him is not just because no one else is there, but also because he's like, there's an emergency and I need you to do stuff, but I'm not going to tell you what it is. And so I'm just like, fuck that. And so like my way of quitting was just like, well, no one's here. I can take as long as I need to. I'm just going to pack up everything. I got the sriracha out of the fridge. I think I got maybe Tom's candy bar or the little note that was left with it.
The seduction one?
No, there was what it was we had gotten Chinese food, and I got in the fortune cookie a little note that said "Keep the promises you make," and Kevin, you sent me a picture where it was a tableau. It was the Chicago Social magazine, and then on top of that was the candy bar, and on top of that was "Keep the promises you make."
So I left him this like little work suicide note for him. And like I had everything packed up, and then so like as I had mentioned, it was like daylight savings, and it was like super dark every time we went home, and it was, you know, it was just kind of depressing in a way. But I got to go home midday, and it was just the brightest day. It was sunny. There were like birds out, and I'm like, that doesn't even happen in the city. And it just like everything was just like the world was just telling me this is the right choice.
Oh, speaking of the world telling you this is the right choice, like the day that I quit, I asked a girl who I had been texting just sort of like as a buddy for like a whole year. I was like, I'm going to finally fucking shoot my shot and like ask you out on a real date. And I did. And then I got married to her.
Yeah.
Aw.
That's my wife now.
Yeah, Tom would be texting her during work sometimes, like during lunches and stuff, and he would just have like the dumbest smile on his face, and I was like, man, you got to go for that.
Tom is canonically a wife guy.
Yeah.
It's true. But Kevin, the story doesn't end there.
Yeah.
Because I remember us hanging out at your apartment.
Yeah.
And some wild shit went down.
So I guess a couple days before this, Terry was like, you got to do something. You can only do it on my computer. I don't know why. Like I wasn't snooping around or anything, but this pop-up happens, and it's for a dating service called Girls Date for Free.
Oh, yes. Fuck.
And
that's right.
And so this was like this weird like little trump card I had lying in the back pocket, just waiting, because I was like, I'm gonna need to cheer Tom up. Like, I know he's had this super dark energy. So I'm like, so we're both like, jobless now, both like at my house, this house I'm staying at that's like 4 other people, whatever. And so we just decide to go pull up the website, and we figure out, because the pop-up for the email also had his username.
First of all, girls date for free on every website. That's not a pitch.
The implication is boys have to pay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I guess it acts as like a filter, because like that all the dates you're gonna have are at least solvent somehow. The best thing, we found his fucking user page. The wild thing is that like most dating sites, there's like a big long profile and you like answer in paragraphs, and there's like fun quirky questions. Girls Date for Free is just like a fucking bulleted list. And it's not because he chose that. That's like how it is. And it's just like, do you own or rent? Do you smoke or no? Do you have children or no? And so there's like very little information on a given page. And on his page, there was like at least 5 lies.
Yeah. I think everything was a lie.
Yeah. I love to sleep. I'm normal.
It said he was a non-smoker. He smoked all the time. Mm-hmm. It said that he was between like 25 and 35. We just celebrated his 43rd birthday.
Between 90 and 1,500 years old.
It said that he owned his home. He frequently talked about his apartment that he rented. It said that he was childless. His daughter worked with us.
He talked about that apartment, and like I think like just before that he had talked about how like the heating went out, and like he had to turn on the bathtub on hot to create enough warmth in the place.
But then it caused water damage everywhere. What a dumbass. Girlsdateforfree.com ruled. And as we were doing this, Kevin, your G-chat was blowing the fuck up with Terry messages.
He was also blaming me for not doing enough of the work that hadn't been given to me. And he said I was like a hateful person.
He said, the line that I remember was, Kevin, you are an angry young man.
Oh, that man. And he was also trying to get money out of us by like, I'm not going to pay your vacation days. And then Tom is like, well, my dad's a lawyer. And he's like, I am going to pay those vacation days.
Just the image that I have in my head is us hanging out looking at his girlsdateforfree.com site, where all of his profile pictures are of him making his awful fish face, looking down at his camera, making himself have a million chins in his fucking car at night with like a single bare street lamp behind him. The most serial killery image you'll ever see. Looking at all the lies, and then every once in a while you look at your phone and you see that there's like 60 or 70 new Gmail messages from Terry, and I'm just like, you gonna read those? And you're like, nah.
It's great.
So yeah, that's Evanston's job. We sort of scratched the surface. Took an hour, but what can you do?
Fuck. So, Kevin, you also are unfortunately a gamer.
Yeah, I got the game worms, and it's real bad.
But you are unique compared to all my friends in your gaming habits, because I have a lot of friends who game and they jump between games and they'll play a lot of different stuff. I follow you on Steam and this is sort of the narrative that I get with Kevin. I'll see Kevin is playing a new game and I'm like, that's cool. And then a half hour goes by and then he goes back to playing Counter-Strike, which he has 4,000 hours in.
I want to know your real numbers, Kevin. Give us your numbers for the following games. Counter-Strike, Global Offensive, and Rocket League.
Okay, for Counter-Strike Global Offensive specifically, I have 3,785 hours. But I do want to preface that by saying 1.6, Source, a little bit of Condition Zero. So these were like before Steam, LAN. There's at least 1,000 more hours, at least.
And Rocket League, the game where you play as a little car.
For Rocket League, I have 2,705 hours.
So if a game doesn't involve competition, like, you just can't get into it, huh? It just doesn't stick.
I think I approach it in the way of like a job, in the sense that I'm like, this is going to be over at some point, and I don't have to care about it anymore. That's like the 9 to 5, right? Yeah. So it's like you just gotta just take it out of your brain and just be done with it. You don't need to remember any of this. It's not important. Like, for instance, like I was playing Metal Gear Solid 5 and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I was like, oh, should I be a completionist and get all the weapons and do all these things? And I'm like, well, this game's going to end at some point. I don't care about it anymore. And then
like, you're preemptively...
Yeah.
Like, the future self of you has already beat the game, and that's
enough.
Transporting that completion back in time to you.
Yeah, that's enough.
And so this is a mindset that I cannot fucking fathom, because like these games like Counter-Strike and Rocket League, you know, you have given us on this document the information that you have 9,000 hours in Steam, which is to say 385 days of your life have been spent gaming.
Excluding mobile games, console games, Origin, Battle.net, GOG. Yeah.
Oh my 9,000. God. You're playing these games that require you to have hundreds of hours in order to even engage with it at all. Like if someone were to start playing Counter-Strike for the first time, like they can't do it. It's like telling someone to watch an anime and it's like the first 500 episodes are all static, but you have to watch them all.
Can I just say, on a whim, like 2 years ago, I decided I was going to install Unreal Tournament 2004 and play online. Do you know who still plays Unreal Tournament 2004 in 2018? Absolute sickos. Just, like, absolute freaks. I didn't get a single kill. The game became a race to kill me while these two older guys were talking about their kids the whole time. It was the most awful gaming experience I've had. Their kids. Like, they were clearly like dudes who knew each other in real life and were having like dude talk, like, casually while murdering me.
Jesus Christ. Kevin, I gotta ask my question here for you. What new are you getting out of these games? When you're gonna log on to Counter-Strike for a night of gaming.
Yeah.
What is the goal?
Well, that's just murder puzzle, Tom. There's always...
It's like the crossword?
Yeah, there's always... I mean, like, Tom, nobody's sitting in front of a crossword being like, all these words is old. You know, you put them in new ways and you're like, oh, I got to use my brain in a different way. What's also nice about Rocket League, I mean, it's very similar in the sense that, you know, it's like I'm usually solo queuing, so I'm just playing with complete randoms, which sucks ass. Don't do that. But I'm doing that, and like with Rocket League, I don't need to listen to anything, so I can also have like a podcast going, and it's just like it's just like the most mental static you can have. So yeah, I probably could have done something with that year of my life that wasn't video games. But
no, time wasted is time that kicks ass. I think that's the saying.
Yeah.
I gotta ask now. Okay, so obviously you like Counter-Strike, you like Rocket League. Otherwise, whoa, what a decision you made. So you can turn to them with confidence, knowing that they're going to give your brain a happy little puzzle. It'll make it feel good. And you're good at it because you've practiced for literal year. What does it take? Like, what could it ever happen that like another game would come and replace Counter-Strike for you? Because I ask this because I truly don't have a frame of reference. Every time I've played Counter-Strike, it's been like an actively anti-enjoyable experience because it feels like a video game where someone takes your head and drowns you in a kiddie pool, and it's just like,
and everyone who plays it is Russian and they know all the English swears.
That is true.
Yeah. And you get told, like, no, this game is actually about riding a fun merry-go-round. It's like, really? Because I got drowned in a kiddie pool. And it's like, that's going to happen to you for the first 1,000 hours. But once you get past that, it's fun. So, like, I don't fucking get how you get into these at all. What could it take to get you to get into a new one?
To put this in a metaphor, this is like you eating the hot pellet, right? You're like, beer sucks ass. And then you have that hot pellet, and now you can go to any beer. I know Counter-Strike, which is one of the most, like, bare bones shooters, and so I can go to anything else and whip ass, right? So like we used to have you used to have a roommate, Alex, and he was talking like he was hot shit with Halo, a game I had never played before, and then I played him and then I owned him, and it was great.
You were Beardo from Kengan Ashura. You had put in the time,
man,
and you have the fundamentals.
Lens. Yeah, you just got to put your fundamentals in.
My experience with that Halo game was that I was running around trying to find the sword, and then I would sort of see the sword, and I'd be like, cool, and then I would get killed by someone I didn't see. And that would happen over and over. There's one time when we all used to live together, and we played Battlefield, I think 2 was the current one, in a big group, and what would happen was everyone else got in a vehicle, and there was none left for me, so I would run very slowly, a very long way to where the game was happening, and I'd be running, being like, one day I'll get to the game, and I'm running, then I get shot by a guy I didn't see, and I would respawn back where I started, and I would start running, and you see how this goes.
Yep.
So, Kevin, is there any hope for me? Like, could I ever become a sicko like you?
No, Tom. Maybe? Probably not, though. So like
when did this start for you? Like, have you always been like this?
Counter-Strike was like one of the first multiplayer games I played. So like I want to say the first one was maybe like StarCraft, but I was also on dial-up back then. So these are like hour plus games, and then it'd be like, there's a call. And then the game's gone.
StarCraft is, of course, a game where people also put in an actual year in. So you have only like dipped your foot or taken the plunge in just games that take over your life.
Yeah. Though, like, growing up, I was like, I'm never going to play WoW. Like, I never wanted to, like, schedule gaming with other people.
Oh, with raids and stuff.
Like,
I see.
And like it seemed like a very addictive thing to people, and like I don't think I would like it though. But like I also just was like, I'm never gonna play something like that.
Well, you say an addictive gaming thing as though you haven't spent a year.
I can quit when I want, Tom.
Yeah, like what would it take? Like, could you just like decide like I'm only gonna play like fucking the Yakuza games now? And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to play Persona 5. And then when I'm done with that, I guess I'll just take a break. Like,
yeah.
I just don't get, like, the idea of spending 2,000 hours playing any game makes me want to die.
I mean, you don't do it all at once, Tom. That makes it a lot easier.
Good point.
I mean, I also took, like, a long break from Counter-Strike because I was like, I'm kind of over this shit. But then it's just, like, I don't know. It's so familiar that it, like... you just like I want to be better at this particular thing, and so I'm just gonna like keep honing at it. And so like I can pick up any other game and I'm fine. But so like something that like Counter-Strike has spoiled for me is like I tried to play the Resident Evil 3 demo recently, and one, you have limited ammunition. It's like it makes sense, but it kind of sucks.
Oh, I know. Your issue is that the gunplay wasn't good, right?
It's fine. Like you aim, you shoot, something gets shot in the head. But if I shoot something in the head, I want it to die. And if I have to spend like 5 bullets in a row, 5 headshots, I'm just like, oh my God, this is too much. I can't do it.
You've been conditioned to know that one headshot is all you need, and anything else the game is lying to you.
Yes.
One interesting thing that happened recently is, I don't know why it came up, but I mentioned Doom Eternal, the new Doom game, to you. I had said something to the effect of, boy, it looks great, can't wait to play it. Looks so chaotic and crazy and so high intensity. Wow, it's going to be fun. And you're just like, I look at that and all I see is the solution. Like, I see all those demons, and I know exactly what I have to do. There's no game there. I already solved it. Like, it's like Kevin does the fucking New York Times crossword every day, and I'm like, Kevin, there's a great new game. It's going to keep me busy for hours. And I hold up a piece of paper that has the letter C, a blank space, and then a letter T, and then a picture of a cat. And I'm like, what goes in the blank space? I just don't know.
This is the thing I would go through phases where I would play a quote unquote competitive. I say competitive in the sense that like I put a lot of time into one game and I'll do like the ranked version of that. Example of a year ago, I was really into Overwatch. Here's the thing that I cannot relate. When I'm playing like competitively, like I'm going to do ranked matches, I like only want to do that when I'm feeling like good and like sort of peak. Like if I have a bad day at work and I come home, I like wouldn't be able to then play competitive mode because like my brain wasn't like firing right, and then losing would feel double bad. You just don't have that. Like it's always go.
Yeah, there's a combination. So one, you got casuals for that sort of when you just suck in or you want to get, your warm up on. But also, yeah, you're forgetting the cog trick of just forgetting. Just detaching completely and not remembering a goddamn thing that happened at work. If I'm not on the premises, then good luck.
I will say your insistence when we worked together of just refusing to ever bring your laptop home was one of the most powerful things I've ever seen. Because I remember our boss being like, make sure you take your laptop home. We might have something come in. And you were like, no. No, I'm going to leave it here. Yeah. And then she would be like...
What's going to come in is the ball into the Rocket League goal.
Yeah.
And then I remembered she was like, just take your laptop home today. And what you said was truthful. You said, well, I don't have a backpack. Which you didn't. And I think you just carried your laptop home on the train like it was a book.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking incredible.
I want to say, actually, I think the closest Tom has come to that version of sicko mode is with Tribes Ascend.
Oh my God, Tribes was so fucking fun.
Oh yeah, man.
Folks, if you don't know, Tribes Ascend was a game that was made by the game that makes Smite, which is the terrible MOBA with Greek gods that all have huge titties. Tribes is great. It's about cyber guys, and one of the things they can do is you can press... Everyone has a jetpack, which is awesome, so you can fucking fly. And then also you can press a button that makes you have no friction on your feet. So all the maps are really hilly. So what you can do is ski down the hill with no friction, and then use your jetpack to fly. And then when you're in the air, fall onto another downward slope going frictionless and get extremely fast. So basically, if you're good at the game, which I never got good at the game, even though I played it for hundreds of hours, you can basically just like be Superman and zip anywhere at massive speeds. And the other good thing about this game is that it doesn't have hit scan weapons where it checks to see if you hit as soon as you click the button. It shoots out like a projectile that has speed based on how fast you're going. So like you have to aim ahead of your target, but like also take into account your own speed. And when you killed someone with a mid-air direct hit, it made the most satisfying sound in the universe.
It was a ka-ching, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the blue plate special.
Yeah, and this is also sort of something that is frustrating about like a game you put a bunch of hours into. Tribes is gone.
It is.
You can't play it anymore. Kevin, you've picked 2 games to put your time into, and they have not dipped in popularity at all. Like, Counter-Strike is Russia's economy, and Rocket League is one of the most popular games because it's on literally every device at this point.
Yeah, it was purchased by Epic as well, so it's like it's not going away.
Yeah, it's got Fortnite money.
Yeah. Like, randomly, part of the reason I got it is because I wanted a Steam controller and it was a bundle. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I bought a Steam controller too, and it is dusty and unused. I'm an idiot.
I didn't. I'm a genius. Yeah. Also, because why would I fucking play a game? Tribes is gone. God, it was another situation. This has happened a lot when we used to live together, Kevin and I, is that we would get a game, and it would be a competitive game, and we would both start from zero, and it would be fun. And then there would be a day where Kevin just sort of like opened his third eye and became like a fucking he would go Deva form, and I couldn't even compete. We got like the Tatsunoko versus Capcom fighting game for Wii, and we were both sort of figuring out how to play, and like it would actually be a contest to see like who could win. And then one day that didn't happen anymore.
This also happened when Kevin and I worked together. We had a horrible forced mandatory work retreat in Schaumburg, like 2 hours from where we live. And it was like at a hotel with a bar. And like after the forced events, everyone was like, we're going to go drink and have a good time. And Kevin and I were like, no, I brought Smash Brothers. We're going to be in the hotel room playing Smash Brothers for 8 hours. And around that second hour, Kevin's eye opened. And I could not touch Ike. Like, Ike was untouchable.
But I give Joe a lot of props there, because he was like, he got so into the idea that he needed to be Ike that he'd be like, no, again. And I'm like, all right.
Oh, yeah, because I was just like, I can do this. And also, I was a Luigi main at that point, something I've since abandoned. But I, like, refused to change characters because I wanted to win as Luigi, even though like the longer I played, the more he knew all my dumb shit because I kept doing it.
Kevin, is that kind of mindset what's required to get to the sicko level you're at? That sort of bullheaded persistence where like I'm not going to give up. Instead, I'm going to fail 100 more times until I never fail again.
I'm going to say no.
Okay, thank God, because I never want to fucking do that.
Man, you just gotta like read the strategy guides or whatever that's on the internet. That's what it's about, man. Get your Brady games out.
Reading a few paragraphs is the same as 1,000 hours.
Yeah, man.
Anytime I'm having trouble with a game, like having trouble like killing an enemy in a game, I'm like, I need to look up the strategy guides, and it's like guide for the level I'm on. I'm like, great, and I'm looking through it, and it's like, when you get to this segment, merely kill the enemies and move on. And I'm like, oh my God.
I mean, yeah, like you could practice forever, but like you could be practicing wrong that whole time, and that sucks. So don't do that.
That's also a scary premise, that you could put in the time and then you're just fucking doing it wrong.
Yeah.
That's basically me with Smash Brothers, because like everyone online is like, well, anytime you play Smash Brothers, which is definitely daily, what you should first do is you should do 15 minutes of short hops, and then you should do 15 minutes of slide tilts, and then you should do 15 minutes of RARs, and then your fingers are going to be limber. You're going to do that every day so you have absolute muscle memory. And I'm like, I'm not going to ever do that. That sounds awful. That's a job.
And then you're like, I need to drop Falco. He's a problem. I'm like, yeah, Falco's the problem.
It's like, I don't know. There's just like some weird fundamental things you get that are just transferable to any game. Like, I don't own Smash. I don't own a Switch. The first one I played was Brawl because you guys owned it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The one where you trip randomly and it sucks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Minus is way better.
But yeah, I guess I think the thing that we've been getting at is that you just have a sicko jewel in your soul that makes you a gaming god.
Okay, you know all the bullshit business books we make fun of, like always be thinking about synergy and like titles like that?
Yeah.
Kevin has that for gaming.
Oh,
it's true.
That is something. Oh my God. This is, I mean, yeah, it's nerdy, but whatever. This is where we are. So like thinking about like how you approach corners in first person shooters, like I would do that kind of like in real life for a second. Like, seriously, like, if you take a broom and you're like, this is the gun, this is where I'm going to line up, you can just, like, you know, just figure out your angles. Oh, my God. There's a lot of...
Like, what if my apartment was DE Dust?
Oh, yeah.
Well, what would happen is you'd wake up in the morning and you'd be like, time to have some breakfast, and then Kevin would headshot you. Excellent. I think we got to wrap up. This is going super long, but we always knew it would because, Kevin, you are a big-time homie, and we got to thank you for going Guesto mode with us.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
Normally we ask people like where can they find your creative outputs and whatnot, but the real question is how can someone play you in Rocket League or Counter-Strike?
Well, one, if you're in Chicago and if the pandemic ever goes away, I am at Tom's other show, The Skewer, doing the news quiz, so I'm usually there. And on Steam, my ID is SDVOIID. SD Void, which is short for Super Dark Void. I don't remember why, but yeah.
That sounds badass. I mean, it's because when you were a kid, you thought it up and like, that's badass correctly, and then you stuck with it.
So you heard it here. Do arrange teams with Kevin, disappoint him, waste his time.
Get carried. If you win, it was because of him. Yeah. Hell yeah. This is a great episode. Thank you again for being on.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't even get to online dating too. Shit.
We're going to have you back on.
Yeah.
At a later date. And also, like, we talked a lot about the Evanston job, but there's so much we didn't get to. We could do another fucking episode on just that. Anyway, but listeners, thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, an Anime Sicko.
I'm Joe, an Anime Sicko.
And I'm Kevin, an Anime Sicko.
And we'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for listening to Anime Sickos. I've been Tom, a sicko. You can follow me on Twitter at TomHarrison19. Joe is also a sicko. You can follow him on Twitter at ShariaUncle. You can follow Anime Sickos on Twitter at Anime Sickos or email us at animesickos@gmail.com. Please leave us a review or something. I don't know. Tell a friend. Anyway, until next time, bye.